Okay. Hello, Deborah.
Hey.
Welcome back to 58 Wellbeing and PAR webinars. You joined last week in the first one when you gave us an amazing introduction to Ayurveda. And I have to say, since then, every morning when I wake up at 6, I'm thinking, shall I go back to sleep? No, actually, I shouldn't. So it was a really good tip because I completely see that the energies are actually at the right place. Thank you for that. PAR and 58 partner together to have well-being sessions in all aspects of life. And actually, we've been very, very busy in the past 2 weeks with amazing therapists like you that giving us so many tips to keep healthy when we're in isolation, but potentially to take those tips for our everyday life. And today, you're going to give us some more tips about actual self-care techniques with Ayurvedic. So I will then pass it to you. Just welcome everybody who joined us today. If you have questions, just feel free to put everything on chat and we will just then have a discussion and we'll be able to answer all of your questions. Thank you. Go for you.
Thank you for your lovely introduction. I hope you can hear me. I'm just looking at Michal's face. Yes, perfect. So in last week's webinar, we came to a conclusion that in the Ayurvedic text, it says that the bodily experience and also the bodily perception and all the 5 senses and talents that we have are the manifestation of crystallized matter of your consciousness. And Ayurveda has quite a straightforward model of what this crystallized matter, which is your body, looks like. So like I explained to you last week, it all starts with the 3 energies that form your mind, and then the 3 doshas that form your body. The 3 doshas each have their own ratio of the 5 elements, and the mind has only 3. But when they come together, there is a body. And this body consists of 7 building blocks. It starts with plasma, then comes the red blood cells to make it into blood, then comes the muscle tissue, the fat tissue, the bone tissue, and the 7th and last building block is the sexual organ, the sex organs and the sex hormones. And these 7 building blocks need like a pre-building block in order to build something. And this is our 3 main intakes. So it's external intakes, prana, which is oxygen, saprasa, which is nutrition, and there's water. Those 3 together we take in, and it takes about 5 days for this nutrition to form the first body tissue, the plasma. And the end result of this process, because once you've taken in, it goes through a process with the help of fire that we have in our digestive tract, but also in different locations. There's a total of 40 fires in our body. So that would suggest that there's loads of local fires that all together transform the nutrition into the end product, which is ojas. And ojas is the life essence. It is immunity, it holds life. And my primal teacher explains ojas as I have it here, because his words are good. He says, ojas is a superfine biological substance that includes albumin, globulin, and many hormones. It's formed during the biosynthesis of the bodily tissue. Your body depends on it. Now in Asian texts, ojas is compared to honey because it's blue-like, golden, like honey or like a golden ghee. Now, I like to explain it as like an essential oil of rose petals because first of all, it's costly, and it's costly for a reason, because the rose oil is all these petals, like 100 petals together, extracted and collected into one small bottle of maybe only 8 ml. And this 8 ml looks a lot like ojas because ojas is also costly, valuable. And it is said that we only have 8 drops of ojas circulating in our body. So if you're thinking about optimal health, you're really thinking about keeping this ojas as healthy as you can. And to keep the ojas as healthy as you can, there is 3 pillars to health. according to Ayurveda. So the first pillar is digestion, the second is rest, and the third is sexual health, which we will do next week. But the first pillar, the digestion, there is a really broad routine that Ayurveda has to offer to support your digestion so that your ojas can stay optimal. And the same goes for rest, so rest and digest. Last week we already covered a little bit of the Ayurvedic clock, and the Ayurvedic clock will help you to make the rest and digest as optimal as possible, because the Ayurvedic clock explains you whenever your bodily processes are happening. So your body has a natural process to make melatonin for your sleep, to make your sleep as restful as possible, and also has its own cycle in when it digests. So by listening to the Ayurvedic clock, you can make most of your bodily processes so you won't disturb them. Because only if you don't disturb it, you will have the best results and the strongest digestive fire. This clock, the Ayurvedic clock, is also in your media kit that Michelle will send you after the webinar. I'm just looking at the screen because I'm not sure. Oh no, I'm still in the meeting because I just didn't see Michal's face anymore. So I was like, oh, what happened? There she is again. But yeah, so the clock is in your media kit that Michelle will send to all of you after this webinar. And then you can just have a proper look at it so that I don't have to explain about it too much now because it goes into detail. What I do want to explain a lot right now is how when you have this clock, it still doesn't all make that much sense if you don't know how to apply it to your body, because most important is that you know your body. So by knowing your dosha, you're already halfway through, because your dosha explains to you how to eat, when to eat, how to use herbs, when to use these herbs, how to move, etc., etc. But besides your natural dosha, there is also a dosha that you accumulate throughout your life. And this accumulation might happen because it is your own elements that you're accumulating, because Ayurveda believes in like increases like. So say if you have a high percentage of space and air in your elements, then you're very likely to engage a lot with creativity, to choose a creative job, to choose a lifestyle that requires you to be flexible, because that is part of these elements. And to also prefer light foods, for example, because it's also part of these elements. And by doing so, you accumulate the elements, which means you're no longer in the element, but you're elevated somewhere outside of this element, which causes fluctuations in your mental state and in your physical state, which eventually causes you to feel uneasy and diseased. So if one reason might be that you're accumulating your own elements, another reason might be that you're accumulating an opposite element that is not part of you feeling in your element. So when you're pushed out of your element just because you are in a certain time of your life or in a different environment, or you passed like menopause, for example, you go into a different life phase, all these things may lead to accumulating elements that are not part of your natural dosha. So in fact, you accumulate elements every single day. And depending on in which season you're in, or your work schedule, how your sleep has been, the foods that you've been eating, the people that you've been engaging with, or even the movies that you've watched, you have been accumulating a certain element. And it's important to know which one that is, because if you want to design your rituals, your daily rituals, it's really important to know how to support yourself by knowing which element you have to balance out. So Ayurveda has a very practical layout to do this self-care and to apply this to your daily routines. And it's so practical because everybody has the tools that Ayurveda suggests you should use, because most of the tools are your own body. So number one is your tongue. Your tongue shows a lot. And I will share my screen with you in order to show you what I mean. Let me see. Share screen. I'm not sure. It's like the same as that I saw last time. I can choose. Ah, wait, yes, this is it. Share. I think you can now see a tongue.
Yep.
That's great. So first thing when you wake up in the morning is you start with your cleansing routine, which the first step is cleaning out your eyes so that you can see your tongue, because this tongue is very important. So you clean your eyes just by using filtered water and by rubbing it into your eyes in the direction of your nose and then blinking 7 times once you've done this, and then rotate your eyes in all directions. If you know that you have accumulated pitta already, or if you have had red eyes, irritated eyes, maybe a bit burning, aching, then Ayurveda suggests to use rose water. I would say only use an organic rose water with organic rose petals and no additives, because otherwise it might sting. But it can be really relieving to use the rose water in your eyes first thing in the morning. Then your eyes are open and clear, so you can see your tongue. And as you can see in this picture, there's many points in the tongue that are touching your organs. This is like acupressure, actually. So every morning you should have a look at the color that your tongue has, because it's very rare for a person to have a clean tongue first thing when they wake up, you know, before having water or food or doing anything. A clean tongue is very, very rare. So when you have a look at the color that your tongue has, then you know which dosha you've been accumulating. So as you can see here, a white coating indicates that you have been accumulating water and earth, leading to a kapha dosha for you that day. Another one is if you have a yellow coating on your tongue, you have been accumulating fire. So you have a pitta dosha for that day, and your routine should also support the pitta dosha for that day. If it is brown or grayish, it indicates vata. And sometimes you don't necessarily see it on your tongue, but then if you spit, then you see that there is a color in the first morning spit. If your tongue is pale, it indicates anemia. So you should then rev up the intake of your iron. Another interesting thing to look at is where on your tongue you have the most coating, because that means that that organ also needs more support that day. So there's a few ones that I want to share with you here. When there is a very visible line or a deeper line in the middle of your tongue, that indicates emotional blockage around the spinal column. So very often has to do with your nervous system. One which is interesting for now is the lung points, which are at the sides of the front of your tongue, because, you know, Corona. So yeah, if you have depressions there, so small little dots, then that might indicate delicate lungs. Then one that we almost all have is the toxins in the colon. So it means that in the back of your tongue, the white coating is the thickest. It might be white here, but then maybe yellowish or brownish here. So that means that you just have toxins in your colon, which is accumulation, so kapha, water and earth. But if you then see a different color here and your spit is a different color, then still that is the dosha that is responsible for these toxins. So then that is the dosha that you should be curing that day. If the coating is not so much accumulated only just on the back, but it has a bigger circle, and you also can find some red, like a second color that is red in this circle, then that means toxins in your GI tract. So yeah, it means that you have more toxins all over. So this is an interesting thing to understand about your body, that your tongue is not just speaking to others, but also speaking to you as a medium for your body. So then once you know what's going on inside the body and you have seen this, this internal mirror of your inner universe, then you can begin to treat it. So the first step is to use a tongue scraper. Tongue scrapers come in different colors. There's a silver one, a bronze one, or a golden one. And the color says also something about the dosha and it's connected to the dosha. So if you have a pitta dosha aggravated, I would say use a silver tongue scrape. If you have the vata or the kapha, you can use bronze or golden because those are both heating. And by applying the tongue scraper to your tongue, you're giving your organs a small massage, like a small acupressure session. So by doing so, you're already one step closer to being balanced for that day. After the tongue scraping, you can then brush your teeth. Ayurveda does a lot with receding gum as well. And clove is one of the oils that is used for this. So if you can find a toothpaste that has clove in it or tea tree, then that's very useful. And Ayurveda would always suggest you to do this. Also, in ancient Vedic times, they would use, or actually, I think they will still do it, is in some parts in India, they use a neem stick to stick between the teeth to like really have a throat cleansing, or they use a licorice root stick. So knowing this, keeping this in mind, also licorice is good for dental health. After brushing your teeth, you can then gargle with salt to really cleanse. And once you've done all of this, then you have a plain glass of room temperature water. Ayurveda suggests you have this in a copper cup and have the cup ready the day before so that it's proper room temperature. If you don't have a copper cup, I think any glass will also do. Just make sure that the water is filtered. And what you can do, for example, is if you know that your pitta dosha has been accumulating, then you can put some blue cellophane around the cup, or you can use a blue glass cup, because then the blue filtered water in the morning, and place it in the window so it catches the moonlight. The blue filtered water in the morning will then support your liver. Speaking of the liver, another thing that you can do is chewing on some sesame seeds after you have done the dental cleansing routine. Because chewing on something early in the morning will activate your liver and your stomach and therewith your digestive fire. This all being said, Ayurveda suggests you to do these things before 6 a.m. Especially if you're a kapha type or have the kapha dosha accumulated, even earlier than 4:30 is suggested for kapha. Pitta and vata can get away with 7 a.m., but still 6 a.m. is better. And then another way that your body communicates to you is by the first delivery that you do that day. Your body, if the digestive fire is healthy and strong, is very likely to flush out the channels, and so also the food channel. And the quality of that flush out also tells you a lot about your doshic indication for that day. So next time in the morning, hope for a delivery in the first 2 hours after waking up. If it's later than that, then that already indicates that you will have some toxins. So when you have this first delivery and it feels like it's a hard stool and incomplete, that is kapha. If it feels like it's runny or oily and it burns, or it's watery, it is pitta. When it comes with gas, with air, or maybe with air and also water in one go, then that is indication of a vata accumulation. So you've had these two tools in the morning to tell you which doshas have been accumulating. Now it's time to then design your day to support yourself the best. And this starts with pampering yourself. And the first thing you want to pamper is the nose, because the nose is the door to the brain. So pampering the nose in Ayurveda happens with oil, or actually with also, you might have seen if you've been to India, is with a neti pot. And the neti pot is very beneficial to have some circulation if you've been accumulating or if you congested. But I have to say that not everyone's anatomy is suitable for the neti pot, because sometimes if this cartilage here is completely in the middle, or I don't know, circulation is compromised somehow, then the water can accumulate here and here and here. And that actually only leads to getting a cold later or infected sinuses. So I would say neti, you can do it, but try to maybe do it twice per week if you like to do it. Other than that, another way to clean your nostrils is using oil. Yeah, I specifically like to use the oils. So if you have a kapha dosha, you're looking for a vata oil, which is calamus, and you use 3 to 5 drops for each nostril. If you have indicated yourself with a pitta dosha, you want to use coconut oil, but warm it first, so that's fluid, or you want to use sunflower oil, and also 3 to 5 drops per nostril will do. And if your indication is vata dosha for that day, you want to use a little bit more oil, maybe 4 to 5 drops. So not 3 would not be enough. And you would choose sesame oil that is slightly warmed. So not hot, but slightly warmed, nice and comfortable to lubricate your nostrils, to lubricate the door to the brain. And another thing that you want to do for your brain is giving it the right message straight first thing in the morning, because the first thing that you think will then follow up all day. You know, it's like starting artificial intelligence. You start with one keyword and then your brain is just finding keywords that is matching that one for the day. So a really good way to do this is using aromatherapy. They say that cells of the oil, the very concentrated oil, so like there's rose petal oil, for example, that symbolizes ojas, optimal health, is very similar to the plasma of human cells. So when you smell it, the cellular intelligence of this essential oil goes straight to your brain. So whatever benefit this plant that the oil comes from is used for will then be applied to your brain, which is quite amazing. So for kapha, that it will be good to just inhale. I would say always just inhale. So just remove the lid and inhale. For kapha, I would say use eucalyptus or sweet orange. Sweet orange is like a childhood oil, so it gives you the feeling of being free, being uplifted, having no sorrows, which is good for a kapha accumulation, because kapha tends to be a bit nostalgic, heavy, emotionally charged. So the sweet orange is really good. And eucalyptus, just because it boosts your circulation, which many kapha imbalances are in need for. So then if you saw the yellow coating on your tongue and you have the pitta imbalance for that day, inhale lavender or peppermint. Peppermint's just refreshing, it's cleaning, it cools from the excess heat that you have been accumulating. And lavender is just relaxing, so that fire that makes you want to be very productive for the day, and maybe actually gets in the way of being really productive because you want to do too many things at the same time, or you forget about your self-care and therefore push yourself out of balance over time. Peppermint is a really good oil for this, to go back to remove this excess heat. And lavender to relax. For vata, it's copaiba to inhale, because that communicates with your nervous system and makes you relaxed. Also, actually, copaiba is good to put on little spots. It's a really good antiseptic, but that will come in another one. And then Buddha wood also for vata is recommended. So you've done your communication with the door to your brain. Then it is time to do communication to your self-love with abhyanga, which is self-massage. In the Asian scripts, the Ayurvedic scripts, they suggest to do self-massage 4 times per day, which to me looks like, oh, that would be an ideal lifestyle, you know, almost like the monkeys after having their breakfast that they do the picking, that you would do it yourself massage. Great, nice grooming. Another thing that they suggest with the self-massage in the text is using ghee. Ghee, when you read into the scriptures, it comes back all the time. And therefore, many Ayurvedic practices still use a lot of ghee today. I personally like ghee a lot, and I put it to my food maybe 4 times a week, especially when I have potatoes, because it helps you to digest. But there's many vegans in 2020, and also our idea about using dairy in your daily life has changed a lot from back in the days. The cows here are also different from the cows in India, because as you know, the cows in India are goddesses, so they're getting the best treatments you can imagine, and they're sacred or sacred. So therefore their end product is very different from the cows that we will be getting the end product from, the ochas. Ghee is in the Ayurvedic scriptures another equivalent to ochas, just like honey. Honey and ghee are the two that are symbolized as ochas, optimal health. So for this abhyanga, I would say I totally understand you if you don't want to do a full body dip into the ghee. And therefore, I made some recipes for each dosha that you can substitute the ghee with. This will be in your media kit that will be sent to you after. So you can then have a full look. But to quickly explain, kapha will have essential oils that are good for kapha, and the same for the other doshas. But then the main ingredients is like a buttery oil substance. And for kapha, this is cacao butter because it's slightly pungent and astringent cacao. This is good for kapha. For pitta, it is the shea butter because it has enzymes. And pitta is very often in need of extra enzymes. And for vata, this is castor oil or avocado butter. If you can find avocado butter is great. Otherwise, castor oil is a really good equivalent. It might be quite dark, so you feel like you're putting yourself into the oil that you put in your car. But many people say they feel very, very good after applying this castor oil. The trick is that you do this all before the shower so that you can shower the excess oil off afterwards and still be hydrated. There's a few tips as well that I would give you about the direction in which you're applying your oils. So for kapha types, it will be from the feet up, and you can do strokes, upward strokes. For pitta types, it will be from the scalp down to your toes, and you use circulations going counterclockwise because this is calming. And for vata also from the scalp down to the toes, and you go clockwise in circles away from the heart. In the evening, if you're a vata, you can do the abhyanga again. If you're a pitta or a kapha, you don't necessarily have to do it again. Or if you do, then use less oil. But for pitta, it's quite essential to still, even if you don't do the full body abhyanga, do your feet. Because the feet are related, connected to the pitta dosha, because they are symbolic for progression. And so irritations can often be on the feet, where they can be dehydrated, and the night abhyanga is really good for this. Then movement. So you've showered it all off, it's time for your movements. First of all, Ayurveda is mainly connected to yoga. So there's a few yoga things that you can suggest, but to go into that is so much detail. So I'll just quickly do the sun salutations. If you have a kapha imbalance, it's good to do 12 sun salutations and do them in a rapid pace. And this rapid pace should come back in all of the movements that you choose to do that day, because kapha need to sweat it out. So it's good for the kapha accumulation to set a very specific goal for the day, and then to do this with an active, challenging, make it fun kind of sport. So it can be cardio, boxing, dancing, Zumba, vinyasa yoga, and even better if you do this with a friend. For the pitta, it's good to do a bit of a calmer, slowing down practice. So if you've just showered, you can do the 16 moon salutations on a moderate pace. These moon salutations are more grounded than the sun salutations and have more forward folds. So this is good for to calm down the fire and to turn inward. So you can have a better self-inquiry for that day as well. These qualities should also be in all of your other movements. So the time to stretch, if you're choosing something more active, should be equal to the time of the active part of your workout. It's good to go outdoors and do unwinding things like swimming is great, surfing would be amazing, skating or bare feet yoga. You can do vinyasa as long as you make sure that you're not getting too competitive with the other people in the room or with yourself. And magnesium is a good one to have after a pitta workout, either a spray on or just have it in your drink. For kapha people, actually, I forgot to mention, it's good to have a ginger shot before you do your workouts, or espresso. Kapha can also do with espresso. Vata also needs a ginger shot before, or maybe a matcha coffee. So not coffee, but a matcha, frothy matcha, so that they have more energy, because vatas are prone to feeling exhausted. So if you have noticed the brown coating, gray coating on your tongue that morning, or you've been very gassy, take it easy. Don't exhaust yourself. Don't go into too quick movements. You can start the day with 12 slow sun salutations. Just take them slowly and put some emphasis on each cobra that you do, because kapha, their thighs and their lower back need some support, also to help and improve digestion. For any other sports that you would do that day, when you indicate yourself with vata, it's good to make it alignment based and grounding. So you can have the idea that you're moving through warm water. Pilates is good for this, hatha yoga or ashtanga yoga, also because ashtanga yoga gives you some routine, because you do the exact same thing every single time. And for vata people, or for a vata imbalance, the one and most healing thing is just as simple as having a routine. So the ashtanga yoga teaches you some discipline with this. And Tai Chi is also a good thing, or dancing for Vata. Then something about the breath. You might have different times of the day that you do some breathing, but especially in the morning, again, is good because you start your daily patterns then. So if you then already induce some breathing, you'll probably be more aware of your breath throughout the rest of the day. For kaphas, the best breath technique, the pranayama, is a kapalabhati, which means the shining skull. It's the one in which you fully inhale your abdomen so that your whole belly is full with air, and then you pump the air. I cannot do it because I'm pregnant, but you pump the air out by drawing your navel back to your back body quickly and strongly, 25 times through your nostrils. So it will sound like it's that one. You do it 25 times, 4 rounds. If you woke up with the pitta tongue, then that one, the kapalabhati, the shining skull, not a good idea, because it will only make you shinier, and pitta has a lot to do with radiance and fire. So you don't want to aggravate that even more. Instead, you want to do shitali breath. You can do that in the morning, but also after a workout. And it's really great to also do it around 2 a.m. or maybe 1 a.m. Right before or after lunch. The shitali breath, you do it 10 times. It includes a tongue roll. So you make a round of your mouth, and then you curl up the edges of your tongue, and you inhale as if you're inhaling through a straw. In 4 counts, and then in 4 counts, cooling air will come out of your nostrils. It's very good for pitta, especially with the workout, because you want to avoid inflammation, and this breath, just to do it in between, will totally bring your body back to a normal temperature. Super relieving. Also, if you find you have skin rash, this is a good one. For vata, a lot of breathing exercises are aggravating the nervous system. So if you saw the vata tongue in the morning, or you are very gassy, then stay away from too much pranayama. But you can do 5 times the Brahmari breath, which translates as bumblebee. Again, the bee, so ojas, optimal health. So it's a really good pranayama, and it's simple. You close your eyes with 4 fingers. You close your ear with your thumb. You inhale through your nose in 4 seconds or in 5. Try to have a longer inhalation and exhalation. And on the exhale, you just hum. So it looks like this. and the exhalation stops when your hum is done. It totally helps you to turn inward, especially if you press a little bit on your ear, because then you can hear your own hum. And this hum is really calming for the nervous system, like a humble bee. And yeah, helps you into a better Oha state. So I think actually we're going to do one more thing, and then our time is up.
We can answer questions.
And we can do some questions, definitely. So one more thing is food, which is really important to take care of, starting with your breakfast, but really all day. First meal 10 a.m., second meal 2 p.m. And then the night portion should be small for every dosha. If you noticed a kapha dosha in the morning, then it's good to have your food hot, dry, and light. So you'd like to involve salads, you would like to have some peppers, black pepper, ginger, cayenne pepper, just a little bit, never too much, because it aggravates too much, and quite dry. So toasted is good, granola is good, anything that is quite dryly cooked, not too soupy. Stay away from soups, actually, in general. And the flavors that you want to engage with are astringent, bitter, and pungent. This is also in your media kit, so you can have a look at it again, because it's too much to remember. But these will also work on the organs that are affected by dosha, by kapha dosha. So yeah, that is for kapha. And then for pitta, you want your meals to be mainly sweet, bitter, and astringent. Sweet to cool down a little bit, because sweet is quite cooling. Bitter to take out, like to excrete all the inflammation and the excess heat, and astringent for the same reason. And you want your meals to have the elements cooling, heavy, so quite starchy, soft, soothing, grounding, and nourishing. So when you think of grounding, think of, for example, root vegetables are good for pitta. And it doesn't have to be warm meals all the time. So pitta can do also with cold meats. Kapha and vata both. It's better if you have mainly warm meals. And if, for example, the lettuce is not warm, then at least have something else that is warm. And for vata, it's going to be sweet qualities, sour and salty. And you want to make your meals heavy. So again, starchy. Not too many proteins, because vata have some difficulties digesting protein. So stay away from meals where the main ingredient is protein. You want them oily, so you can add oil. You want them warm. You want them moist. You want them soft, grounding, nourishing, building. Everything that you can think of that gives you that comfort food feeling, that is good for vata. And then I have some bonus tips for herbs for each dosha as well in the media kit that you'll receive after. But I would like to open up to questions now.
Okay, thank you so much. That was fascinating again. Keep on thinking. So I'll start with one question. So it actually means that when I'm checking my tongue every morning, I will have a different routine every day, maybe.
Yes, could very well be. It is, though, although very often a accumulation is an accumulation. So it would never, well, it can be one day, but most of the times it is at least 1 or maybe 3, 6 weeks. Okay. So you'll find patterns in this tongue checking. But yeah, it can very well be like after a day of alcohol, for example, next day it will be different from the other days. So yes.
Okay, so I need to be ready for all different types of exercise. It's important.
Yeah, this is why the media kit is there. So then you can still look at the other ones.
Yeah. Any other questions from our participants? Feel free to just write them on the chat and we'll read them through and answer them. Don't be shy. Or just wave if you want me to open unmute you, and then you can chat directly. The one to type. Okay. No more questions. Okay. We actually had this morning an amazing yoga session, and it will be fascinating to kind of like touch base for you and Lisa to maybe have something together so she can show the actual different routines. So that can we can
that'd
definitely
be
do that.
perfect. Yeah.
Lisa will be back in tomorrow morning with the second wave of the sessions we started today, which will be wonderful. So we will, let's do that. Let's have a session together.
Yeah, amazing.
I'm using sometimes. We do have a question from Debbie. Okay. Debbie does not have a question. She said it's very interesting. Great. Thank you. And Deb is a yoga teacher as well, so I'm sure she would love the connection as well and see how we can do that together.
Because there's actually different poses as well that have the best benefits for each dosha. Like the cobra, for example, and so every dosha has their own. This is it's fascinating.
So that's wonderful. Yes, we'll definitely do that. Okay, so we have a shy crowd today, or they're just waiting for the kit, and then they will ask us questions directly with the kit. Okay, and I'm just reading to see if it's a question. And we will have you again later with the sessions, bringing more of very specific to hormonal balancing and like the different routines, which is really, really great. And for all of you there joining us, you have the links to go and register, and we do have ongoing sessions from, again, psychotherapy to yoga and meditation and amazing Ayurvedic and loads of other tips and techniques. We had doctors yesterday, so we're learning a lot, using this time to learn a lot about our health and our well-being, and I invite you to continue joining. Thank you again, Deborah, and we'll see you very soon.
Yes.
Do you have a question?
Yeah. I often don't have breakfast before 10 a.m. with a child at home. So routine is based around her most times. Yeah.
You will know more about it very soon.
Yeah, I'm pregnant, so yeah, I'll know about it very soon. Yeah, I think that's a really broad topic to tap into. But I can totally imagine that it's that is a thing. But actually, to have breakfast after 10 a.m. is perfect, because after 10 a.m. your digestive fire is at its peak. So if you have breakfast between 10 and 11, and then your second meal before 2 p.m. You will benefit from the strongest digestive fire. So actually it's not a big problem. But I can imagine that the whole self-care routine with your child at home is a bit much to do, because maybe you don't have this time for yourself. But you can also look into the clock that comes into the media kit and then see which of these time slots you do have some time that maybe your child is sleeping, and then induce the self-care routine. Just the tongue check is a very quick one, so maybe that one you should be able to do. Otherwise,
the first action I took it.
Choice.
So great. And what I think we can do, definitely, the media kit will be available, and we will send it to everybody who registered and everybody, of course, who participated today. And if people will have more questions later on, you do have our email, so just email it to us and we'll send it to Deborah, which I'm sure will be happy to answer and continue helping us. Thank you. Have a lovely afternoon.
Thank you so much.
And we'll see you soon.
We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.